Hi everybody. Hadn't planned on doing a video so soon, but here we are, July 19th, and I decided I wanted to talk about something that's been bandied about in the news recently, that Trump is guilty of treason. And the fact is that he's not, and I'm going to explain why. Now, before I do that, I want to go back and just say it wasn't just Trump who's been accused of this. People have been accusing various political opponents, of theirs of treason. For example, Barack Obama was accused by conservatives and Republicans of committing treason when he complied with the terms of the Iran nuclear deal. In fact, some people accused him of committing treason for even entering into that agreement. No, he was not guilty of treason. Hillary Clinton was accused of treason numerous times, but most recently with respect to her decision to put her emails in violation of federal law on a private server, the ones that dealt with that had classified material on it. Guess what? That didn't qualify as treason either. We can discuss whether it violated certain other provisions of the U.S. Criminal Code, but it's not treasonous, despite what a whole rash of conservatives said. So, what is treason specifically under U.S. law? Well, people think it means you do anything bad, you hurt the United States, you do act against its interests, blah, blah. No, it's not that. There are a number of crimes you can commit against the United States that are not treason. I'll give you a good example, a very famous example. Julius and Ethel Rosenberg. These were the individuals who were accused and charged and convicted of having provided the Soviet Union with nuclear secrets with respect to the atomic bomb. Very, very big case, very famous case. Guess what? They were not either charged or convicted of treason. They were charged and convicted under the Espionage Act. Okay? So, what does it take to be for treason to apply? Because people throw it around all the time, and it's really kind of muddying the water and making absurd, outrageous kind of remarks that don't help the conversation, don't help our political discourse. Okay? So treason is pretty, narrowly defined under the Constitution. It's in Article 3. And here's the treason clause. It says, treason against the United States shall consist only in levying war against them or in adhering to their enemies, giving them aid and comfort. Alright, well, a lot of people immediately throw up their arms and say, Trump, he met with Putin right after the Mueller indicted all these Russians. That's treason. No, that's diplomacy. We've had a number of presidents that have met with Soviet Union, Russia, whatever, in times of great division in the country, at times of great tension. That's not treason, right? They say, well, wait a minute. He was adhering, his statements were, adhering and aiding and abetting, our enemy. Well, okay, first off, enemy is very clearly, and specifically and narrowly defined. The writers of the Constitution, and particularly, and also the people, primarily the people that wrote the Federalist Papers made it very clear that treason was to be narrowly defined. It essentially adopts a statute from 13th century, I think time of Edward III, and it requires that you have an open or declared war against, against, in that case, against the king, because he was a sovereign. But in our case, of course, the sovereign is the government itself, right? So somebody has to be declaring, we have to have a declared or open war against someone before they can be our enemy. And simply, meeting with somebody is not treason, regardless of whether we consider them a strategic ally or not. Okay? To my knowledge, at the present time, there's very few nation states or parties that would qualify as enemies. One, obviously, possibility would be North Korea, since the North Korean conflict was never called a war at the time by the UN or by the United States, although it clearly was a war. We never reach a peace agreement with North Korea. There's just been a ceasefire. So one could argue that North Korea is an enemy of the United States, and yet numerous presidents have negotiated with North Korea, from Clinton to Bush to Obama to Trump, and no one has called that treason. No one, is considered that treason. I suppose if we were doing things that, were helping ISIS or, Al Qaeda, people that we specifically that have done things, been in open conflict with us, like 9/11 or the bombings that have happened, the attack on the USS Cole, etc. If somebody was aiding Al Qaeda, was a U.S. citizen, or aiding ISIS, treason might be considered, but the fact is it's rarely been used. Okay, so all you people out there going around saying this is treason, whether you're a Republican, condemning a Democrat, or a Democrat condemning a Republican, you just don't know what you're talking about. Okay, you just do not. So stop, please stop. It does not help the discourse. It doesn't help our politics. It doesn't help anything. All right? Because nothing that a president does with respect to speaking to, the head of another foreign state is considered treasonous. Okay? And then into peace negotiations, that's not treason. Okay? And then entering into an agreement that you believe benefits the interests of a foreign power over the United States. And in this case, with Trump, people will be arguing that, well, Trump is doing things that are against our interests in favor of Russia, just like people accused Obama of doing things against our interests in favor of Iran. Well, I'm sorry, those aren't treason. We were not at open war, okay, a declared open war against those nation states. And so those are simply not treason. You know who committed treason against the United States? Robert F. Lee, or Robert E. Lee. Sorry. And every other member of the Confederacy. They all committed treason. Yeah, and you know what? We didn't prosecute any of them under the treason law. We could have, but we chose not to. It's rarely been invoked. I think the last case I can recall, or maybe the most famous case, was the Tokyo Rose case, an individual who was a Japanese American who was over the radio during World War II broadcasting propaganda. She was convicted, but she was not executed. She was not, eventually she was pardoned. So, yeah, those are instances of treason when there's an actual shooting war, and you plot and carry out an act of war against the United States, such as the Confederacy did in the Civil War, or for you Southerners, the war between the states. Okay, and just as all those American revolutionaries back in 1776 were committing treason against the British Crown because they were subjects of the British Crown. But you know what? Britain decided to let us have our independence and let us go our way, and but during the war itself, if they caught anybody who was a rebel, they were charged with treason. Most famous case being Nathan Hale, the individual who was caught and captured trying to prevent Benedict Arnold, who was a traitor to the revolution, and he was hung, under British law, which essentially we've adopted. So that was during a war, a real shooting war. We're not in a real shooting war. The fact that somebody stole some emails, assume for a minute that everything that was in the Mueller indictment against the various Russian, intelligence agents that have been named is true. Go and look at that indictment. Not one of them is accused of espionage. I know, because I checked. I looked and see what the statutes were that they were accused of. They're accused of theft or whatever. But the fact that they stole stuff, or they've been accused of stealing stuff out of somebody's computer, if Trump or anybody else colluded with them or helped them do that, that still wouldn't be treason, guys. It really wouldn't. Okay? Edward Snowden, right? Everybody thinks he committed treason. No, he didn't. No, he may have violated, the Espionage Act. Certainly, he'd be tried for that, but he would not be convicted of treason because, again, the leaking documents, to anyone, unless there are, things that would help a party that we were at war with and was specifically done with that intent, is not treason. Read the Constitution, do a little research, and then just stop it. Stop calling people traitors just because you disagree with their politics, just because they're horrible people, in your opinion. And certainly Trump is a horrible person, in my opinion. But we have lots of things that, better things to do than accusing him of treason. He's probably committed numerous impeachable offenses, but none of them are treason. So let's just cool with the treason talk on both sides, on all sides. That's all I'd ask everybody to do. So I will leave some links below to some articles and to copy of the Constitution. You can check them out and to your heart's content if you wish. But rest assured, what's happening right now is not treasonous, and it's not treason under U.S. law. And maybe something will come up, and Mueller will be able to prove that Trump, in fact, did commit some sort of crime and colluded with Russia to steal the election, much like we know, Ronald Reagan colluded with the state of Iran to withhold releasing the hostages until after the election until, in fact, specifically until after Carter left office. But that wasn't treason either. Okay. Certainly, it was, in my mind, an impeachable offense, just like it was an impeachable offense for the Nixon campaign to, negotiate secretly with the North Vietnamese to, withdraw from the peace talks until after the election. Also, that happened, yeah. But again, not treason. Okay. All right. That's all I have to say today. Thanks for watching, and see you when I see you. Take care. Stephen D. signing off. Bye.